Hey guys, it's James, the Purposeful Millionaire here, hoping that you're having a wonderful Monday evening. I've got a special guest with me today, and that's one of my friends, Dr. Chadwick Denman. And unfortunately for me, or fortunately for me, most of my friends happen to be lawyers or doctors or entrepreneurs because of my background in medicine and in the law. Chad is a dentist, and even better than that, he's a very successful businessman. And he did not just stop at becoming a dentist, but he applied his business savvy to create a life of great wealth and purpose. So we've talked on the Purposeful Millionaire about how in order to change your net worth, you must change your network. Chad's a part of my network, and my network consists of really successful people who are not only happy, but lucky people, and they build their own luck in life. And one of the things that I've conscientiously and purposefully done is to make sure that I include people in my life who are going to lift me even higher, and I can lift them higher as well. He brings a certain amount of positivity to my life. I bring positivity to his life. We talk about best practices, ideas. We just finished talking about merger and acquisition strategy before this actual interview took place this evening. And after this interview, when everything's all done, we will have a glass of wine and talk more business strategy, things like that. So, Chad, welcome to the Purposeful Millionaire.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great time.
It's going to be a great time, and I'm glad to have you, Chad. Share with people out there your story from not just from zero to where you are today, but talk to us about what got you into dentistry and what was the overall big picture for the long haul.
Sure. I think everyone in life has some great mentors, and for me, it was my Boy Scout leader and my dad. Both of them provided a life for me where I got to learn as life went on and got to stumble along the way and got to experience the side of life that is a complete struggle and always difficult day to day, and then also to the side of life where has the finer things in life, and that was from my Boy Scout leader. And so just learning from him and seeing my dad as a coffee salesman go to work every single day, and he had his own company, and then sold it, and then went back to work for somebody else. Just kind of the struggles that went along with that. But for me, it was actually getting the chance to be involved in the dental field and seeing the patients and how you can feel really good about going to work every single day that you're making that difference. Mm-hmm. And it provides very well for you and your family, and it's something that everybody needs every single day. So it's something that's not going to go away, and so
it's nothing like bad breath and bad teeth.
That's right.
So you are needed.
So it's just something that I saw was a great investment, and especially with my dentist going to be retiring right about the time that I'd be finishing up school, it seemed like it was the perfect time. Unfortunately, my dentist got Parkinson's disease and had to sell his practice right before I graduated. But the funny thing is, the business owner and meeting those people along the way, the company that just bought my last company was the company that bought his company. So it's come full circle, and we still have a chance to talk and mentor and all of that along the way.
So one of the things that you mentioned is that your dad was a coffee salesman, and you actually saw some success in that and him sell a business. So the idea of growing a business and selling a business was not something that was new to you. So when you set out in your career in dentistry, you weren't just limited with the idea of having a sole dental practice, but the possibility of growing that practice into multiple clinics, selling them, and doing it again. So talk to me about your start in dentistry. Obviously, you're a heck of a dentist. But what were you thinking when you grew dental clinics and decided to look for an acquirer of your first business?
Sure. So there's many different ways to grow a dental practice, of course. It can be bringing on associates. It can be expanding to a bigger office. It can be doubling the number of patients that you currently have, or it can be in sales. A lot of dentists, of course, their dental practices, their baby. My baby is my patients, and I know no matter where I go in life, my patients are going to follow me. So, within reason, of course. But for me, it was once you've reached that highest plateau that you can get to, and you've added that associate dentist, you've grown as much as you can. It's time for the next challenge, and in life, that's ultimately what you look for is like, am I ready for the next chapter in my life? Yes, I am. Well, it's time to sell. If you can't do any better than what you're doing right now, then you're not gonna recreate the wheel.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about adding an additional dentist and adding staff, what you're really talking about in business terms is adding capacity. And with that capacity, you're increasing revenue. And from a revenue perspective, as your company grows, you can sell it for a multiple of what your net profit is, also known as EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxation, depreciation, and amortization. But we're not going to go too deeply into that kind of technical M&A talk right now. What I want to focus on is Chad's real strategy of knowing that he had it within him to grow a dental practice and to sell something so that somebody else will pay him big bucks, because you've got a pretty nice lifestyle, right? You're a pretty wealthy man, you're a young guy, you're enjoying it. I tell people all the time, it's a hell of a lot more fun to drive a Bentley at 35 or 45 than it is to drive one at 75. So I'm going to work hard today, and I have worked hard today to have the life that I want to create, instead of saving, pinching pennies, and dumping all of my money into a 401k with hopes that Social Security and the man or someone else is going to bless me with the lifestyle that I want one day. Because what I do know, Chad, is that my life is running out of time right now. And I must define myself for myself. I've got to be out there. I've got to be living my dream, being authentic to myself in terms of what goals I want to accomplish in order to achieve what I want out of life. Now, for me, guys, you probably already know this, but started off in medicine, could have been a decent doctor, but was never going to be an extraordinary doctor because that was not my passion. Then I went into corporate law. I could have been a very good corporate attorney, but I would not have been a very happy corporate attorney. What I am living is my truest, most authentic self right now in this space today. And it took me a while to get there, but our company is 11 years old today, and we've had great success. And we've been able to practice in, I'd say we've completed engagements in close to 20 states and in more than 15 countries. And it's created a great lifestyle for me, my partner, and my family. However, let me say this about that. It boiled down to not just following the dream, but doing the work. Because, Chad, for lack of better words, this stuff is hard, y'all. It is hard. And people look at us and they're like, oh, you can do this, that, or the other and live this extravagant life and start from rock bottom and get there working 40 hours a week. You can't get anything done in 40 hours a week.
Can't.
You wake up seriously early in the morning. You probably work late nights. Talk to us about some of your rituals, some of the things that you do on a daily basis to ensure that you can give your week that 60 to 80 hours of productivity and not implode at the end of the day, because it is a practice. Sure. And everybody who's successful that I know has rituals, habits, routines, disciplines that they bring on a daily basis. Talk to us about some of those things.
Yeah, and probably the year and a half before I sold my last company, I would get up every single morning at 4:30. Yeah. All right, so the day started at 4:30, and there's not too many people out there that can say that. I was one of 3 people that were at the gym at the time. Mm-hmm. I'd go into the gym, I'd work out, because of course if you're working that hard, you got to have that mental clarity. You got to leave some time for you to get awake in order to see your patients. I'd get into the office. I would, do the, all the business stuff before work. Answer all the calls from all the vendors, that everyone has to do in order to keep the business running. And then you got to see all the patients. And at the end of the day, there's like all the charts you got to fill out, and then all the phone calls you got to give back again. And then the end of your day wraps up, and it's 10 p.m. Yeah. Well, there's not a whole lot of time to sleep. So, you do that Monday through Friday. For me, I only worked four days a week. On the 5th day, I ran the companies. On 6 and 7, I tied up all the loose ends. So
it's 7 days a week.
It is 7 days a week. But you do it for short periods of time in your life because you have that dream, you have that desire, you have that passion. You're going to be the best that you can be at that specific moment. And then you know what? It's somebody else's baby then. Yeah.
Yeah, and the result is it's made you millions, and it's set your life on a path where you don't necessarily have to worry about what next year is going to bring you because you're a conservative investor, you're smart about your plan in life, and I've witnessed your success and your philanthropy and all that you do for the community as well. So it's exciting to watch this evolution of a person go from selling one business to selling another business, and I believe that you're going to do it again and again and again. Maybe it won't be in dentistry next time. Are there some other areas where you want to potentially explore transferring some of that expertise into other areas to make more millions?
Sure, sure. I mean, I have a couple of real estate properties right now that I do rent out, and they pay for my other property to live. And there's a lot of write-offs you can get in that, and a lot of different things you can learn along the way. Yeah. And that's good to look at later on in life. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but as I'm approaching 40, and I guess I just said it.
That's okay.
You start looking at, okay, I'm going to have to slow down at some point in time. Those 70-hour work weeks aren't always gonna be there. And it's how do you slow down, and what do you need to do to put yourself to still be able to have the lifestyle that you're used to, but maybe not work quite as many hours.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's all about moving from active income to passive income, and I'm on a journey right now to apply or to plow my earnings into passive income, and one of those areas is in real estate investment. There's some other things such as equity investments in businesses that I have access to and relationships to because I get to know a lot of really fantastic people, and potentially you and I could be doing a business deal one day where I bring my business expertise and you bring your subject matter expertise into a particular area, and we make some really, really good money together. But all that being said, Chad, is that it's not about throwing stuff against the wall. It's about sticking to it overnight, because really, if you look at the situation, I'm a 20-year overnight success story. You're a 20-year overnight success story. We started planting these seeds probably back in high school and in college. And fortunately for people like you and me, we planted those seeds early enough with our subconscious to train ourselves that it takes those daily disciplines and habits of waking up at 4:30 in the morning and working till 10 o'clock at night and not really being concerned about what other people think about you or what detractors think about you, but it's sticking to that plan. What do you do, Chad, to keep your mindset, to keep your subconscious where it should be? I know for me, I've got my rituals that I do on a daily basis, but what do you do to take care of your brain?
You know, for me, I always look at the next vacation. Everyone has to have their outlet, and whether it's just a long weekend or a week, or if you can fit in 2 weeks, go for it. But it's being on my bike. I like to ride, so I ride between
motorcycle or
bicycle.
Bicycle, yeah.
So I have a road bike. I've been riding for a while now, and I ride between 30 and 100 miles a week. Most of the time that's on my weekend days. I'll still get up at 6 a.m. That's sleeping in for me, and I'll get on the bike and get it done before lunch, and then I'll start my day that way.
Yeah. You know, I used to read books, you know, Deepak Chopra and stuff, and this is the way that you're supposed to meditate and get your mind right. And for me, I realized that none of that stuff worked for me. I can't sit on a rug or sit on a mat on the floor and just close my eyes and go into a meditative state. What I do know is that when I do things that are practices or hobbies into which I can bring an intention, a positive thought about where I want to take my life or how I want to treat my community or my family or what I want to achieve, and just meditate on that during that motorcycle ride or that dirt bike ride or that horseback ride or that yoga that I do with my eyes closed upstairs in the gym of my house, I can bring that intention into place for me where I don't have to sit down on a rug or on a pillow and be told how to meditate. I can bring that positivity into my life and will it out to the universe because of that practice. And that's a really good feeling. It's about finding what works for you and understanding that what works for somebody else isn't necessarily what is going to work for you. For me, I know it works for me, and it's about sticking to those rituals on a daily basis. And that's what my book really explores and excavates and shares with others with its 52 rules of creating a life of wealth and happiness now, because I share this with anybody. Your background is humble beginnings. Mine is humble beginnings as well. I grew up in a small city in Virginia, and my people who I looked at on television, the Huxtables, were a doctor and a lawyer duo, and that was the reason why I became, the doctor, lawyer, and quit both of them to become a CEO. But Chad is somebody who did pursue the dental surgery route. He's a respected dentist, and he has changed his plan in a flexible kind of way as time has gone on. And with that, plans aren't static. They have to change. They have to be flexible. But what is not something that changes is the execution. We have to chip away at our dreams on a daily basis and continue hammering away at them until we have a beautiful sculpture. And then people think, wow, how did he make that happen? Or how did he create that lifestyle? Or how did I, get to fly on this guy's Learjet with him and hang out, at such and such a club or whatever. It's all about that respect and that network of others, in that I know that you know what execution is all about, and that it doesn't happen in 40 to 50 hours a week. It happens in that long haul execution phase of 60 plus hours a week, and just bringing it, and making sure that that plan is nimble and adjustable along the way. Now, Chad, one of the things that I talk about is the success formula in the book. Idea plus plan plus execution equals success. We ought to be spending about 1% of our time talking about ideas, because ideas are a dime a dozen. And you got the cousin at the Thanksgiving dinner table who talks about the same plan over and over, but who's really not ever achieving anything every single year. And that person can't get to the plan phase, which should take about 9 or 10% of our time. And then the execution phase should take about 90% of our time. So again, ideas are a dime a dozen. They're cheap, they're fast. If I could apply and put into practice every idea that I had, you know what? I honestly think this world will be a better place. We have a patent holding company and some other companies that we have. And I feel like I've got a lot of great ideas. But the thing is, there are only so many hours in a day. And with my planning phase, I go through a ritual of saying, okay, here are the pros, here are the cons. This is what I have to focus on. This is what's not going to work. This is what is going to work. So if there are too many cons and not enough pros, then I've got to throw that idea out.
It's exactly like a relationship.
Yeah, like a relationship. And so that's how you've got to do it. What does the success formula of idea plus plan plus execution equal success mean to you?
Exactly that. I mean, so I was a baseball player in high school, and before then. But it was one of those things where your coach always tells you to keep the eye on the ball, and I know that gets thrown around a lot, but it's the truth. I mean, if you don't wake up every single day and you're not focused, you won't achieve your success within a small period of time. It'll take years and years and years, because you take all these detours, and then everyone, kind of gets you down and tells you can't do it and all this stuff, because you're not focused. If you stay focused, you don't have all those people that are chipping away at you.
Absolutely.
And those people aren't even in your life, because you're not allowing it. You're so focused that you're only surrounding yourself with people that support you.
You got that right. And it's so important to only allow certain people into our lives. I mean, you're a really popular guy, and you also understand that the more money you get, the more people want to be around you sometimes. You don't always, okay, that's the Chinese food guy at the door. He's about 20 minutes early, guys. So, Chad, talk to them about your formula for including people in your life and knowing what to include and not include, because there's only so much energy that you have at the end of the day. So I'm going to get our dinner. Chad's going to talk about how he includes people and not includes people in his life.
All right. Hey, guys. So yeah, I think the biggest part about this that you have to keep clear in your mind is what is it that you look for in a perfect person? Who in your life is supportive? How are they supporting you? And if you stick to that and you look down, maybe family members are your biggest support. Maybe your friends are. And if you're not, if you go down through life looking at all of your friends and family and trying to make a short or long list of who you would like to have there, those are the people that I would keep in your life. The people that are there on your hardest day, the people that are there on your best day. So and James, I'm sure your best people are there on your lowest day or your highest
and
day.
You've got to bring your best to them at all times, and that's what the rituals are all about, because if James is not taking care of James, then that means that he can't take care of other people. And if he's got an executive team and boards to report to, then things can be thrown off really, really quickly if I don't take care of me. And the distance between success and failure is about that far.
It is.
And that's why we've got to put ourselves first, because if you have a crab, a cancer that comes into your life, and there are people who are like that, who will latch on to you and say, hey, well, Chad, can you mentor me? Can you do this with me? Can I have that kind of access to you? And they won't bring anything positive. They can throw you off. Now, people who come into other people's lives are either going to make a deposit or they're going to make a withdrawal. And if you have people in your life who are, or a person in your life who's making nothing but constant withdrawals and very few deposits, well, then you've got a hard decision to make, because that person can pull you away from your dream. And when you get off track, it's so hard to get back on track. And it's about keeping the success story moving forward with positive momentum at all times, and staying uplifted and staying encouraged, and being a guardian of who gets your space and gets your time, because those folks will throw you off more quickly than you can imagine. And it's not about being mean or being selfish, but the more successful you are, the more you'll be approached by people who sometimes want your help, or sometimes who just want to hang around you because they get to be seen with you. I know that you get that kind of thing, but you've got to be cautious. True story, guys. From time to time, actually quite a bit, I'll be approached by somebody who wants to be mentored by me to become a purposeful millionaire or whatever, and then I'll send the person some information and say, hey, you know what? You're a young person. You want to be successful. I'll give you some of my time. Now, I'm very picky about who gets my time, and I would rather give somebody a $100 bill than to give a person my time who is not going to live up to my expectations or really put in the work to achieve their dream. So I get approached by people, and I start asking questions. Are you really committed to making the time? And we'll schedule something like a 7 a.m. phone call. Well, lo and behold, I've been up since 5 o'clock, and I expect the person to be prepared at 7 a.m. with questions on the phone call. The phone never rings, or the person never comes onto the conference line. So that tells me everything I need to know about that person, and I will not mentor that individual. If you can't make a 7 a.m. phone call with me, be prepared with questions, have the stuff lined up, then you don't get my time, and you're most likely not going to be a purposeful millionaire.
Those are the same people in your life, whether you want to keep a workout buddy in your life. You're like, all right, I'm going to work out at 4:30. I'll be there. And they show up at 6. Well, I've been done for 45 minutes. So it's about how much they want it.
Yeah.
And if they want you in their life and they want the success, that they'll be there.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned in closing up is that you knock out some of the hardest tasks in the morning. I think that's so important, because there's a finite amount of willpower in the day. Like, for example, you and I are having fun right now. We are not reviewing contracts. We're not doing charts for patients. We are not having a really challenging executive meeting in a boardroom discussing strategy or tackling a really complicated issue or coming up with, E equals MC squared. We're just not doing that right now. The morning hours are the peak of our productivity. They are the peak of our creativity, and it's where our willpower is the highest. So therefore, we're knocking out the hardest stuff in the morning. I know that for you, having a strong, healthy body is important because of your schedule and because of travel and other things. For me, it's also important. So we get into that ritual of knocking it out in the morning, getting it out of the way, and for the rest of the day, we don't have to worry about getting in the gym. Now, we do the same thing when it comes to charts, making phone calls to vendors, doing some of the really complicated, well, not complicated sometimes, but really just mundane administrative tasks that only the fiduciary, because you and I are fiduciaries, can handle. And we knock them out, and the rest of the day is a cakewalk because we knock that stuff out early in the day. That's true for you, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone's ever carried around a sticky notepad, but I'm sure we all have made. This is why I want to get done before 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you can do it if you set your mind to it. Now, one of those people may not be awake at that point in time, so don't put phone calls that early. But you can check all your email by 8, and you can make coffee and take the dog for a walk.
I'm known to give a 7 a.m. phone call or 6 a.m. phone call to somebody who says that they're a hard worker. And, I wake up at 5 o'clock every morning, and you can reach me, and then you try to reach them, and they don't answer the phone. Or they don't, text back or whatever. So that's how I kind of wean some people out sometimes. But in closing, Chad, give us, some advice. If you could go back 10 years, you've made millions of bucks, you've become incredibly successful, you're going to multiply that wealth. I'm going to be on that journey with you. Give yourself the advice that Chad wishes that he had known 10 years ago and taken.
There were lots of people in my life when I was in my early 20s, and even in my mid to even late 20s that were part of my life that were only there for the party. And I say that loosely, only because they're the people that you see out. They're the people that do come to the fundraisers, but they never give any money. They're the people that are in your life that only call you when they need something. And those people were very important to teach me a few things in life. I'm sure everyone has learned those things along the way. But if I would have known now what I've known then, I wouldn't even have been part of my life.
Absolutely.
They just leached off of.
Absolutely. So you learned your lessons. You know that in order to earn more, you must learn more, which you are doing. And you also know that in order to increase your net worth, you must change your network. And you're working on that, and your network is beautiful because it has me in it. And also, I'm getting little messages on Facebook Live right now from other Purposeful Millionaires. Eddie Buckles Jr. has joined us. He is a very successful man, and Eddie walked away from a $500,000 a year job to create his new destiny of creating millions and millions of dollars. And he met with me last week. So we got some other Purposeful Millionaires on the line, and we've also have Kevin Witcher. He's pretty badass too. So it's good to see this network of highly successful people that are tuning in right now. It's just fantastic. But hey guys, we have had some knowledge bombs dropped on us from my friend Chad Denman, who is, most of all an entrepreneur, but least of all he started as a dentist. And that was his platform upon which he built and he grew and he sold. And he built and he grew and he sold. And he's going to do it again and again and again. But in the next few rounds, he'll probably be doing it in some different industries. So Chad, I'm excited for you. You are a friend, you are part of my network, and I love you, buddy, and you keep on making your millions, and we're going to do some deals together one day. So that's me, James, signing off as the Purposeful Millionaire. You guys have gotten some great wisdom tonight from a wonderful person. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much.